Okay, everybody, welcome back. This is Malik, and we're going to get through intermediate level 5 and level 6. Alright, so what we have here on level 5 is it's telling us that we have a banding script that's written in a parser for a log file. Excuse me. It's going to lock out any IP address for 10 seconds after a failed login attempt. And it's going to give you the output of the log file when it fails. So we have to get in. So they do give us, you see there's not a help button over on the side, there's just a forum. So there's not a hint. But they're giving you some information here about it's a log file and it has something to do with the script that locks us out. Basically the parser for the log file. So do some research on log file injections. Now, out of all the missions that we've done, from the basics to the mains to all the intermediates, this is one that you're really not going to stumble across to where a parser actually validates input and password. But it's more along the lines of a test letting you know that anything can be manipulated. So what we have to do is manipulate the log file. It's looking for something, it's holding something, but we want to give it something else. So how do we do a log file injection? So research that. This is one of the few that I can put in I can't test it on the screen because the log file is going to return back my IP address, and I of course can't show my external IP address, but I can put in whatever we need to put in to get past it. So I will test it once off the screen. That's going to fail, and you'll do the same, and then we'll take a look at what we need to do to get by it. But take a look at log file injections and read up on those, and then we'll come back and attempt some things, try to get through it. At this point of the game, it becomes a try until you get past it. A lot of stuff is try and try again. There are some things that's just not clearly put. So this is one you may have to try quite a few times to get through. So just don't get discouraged with it. Just read up on log file injections. Try something that may look like it works. If it works, great, you're past it. If it doesn't work, it's not a problem. You try it again. So take a look at log file injections. I'll give you a sec, and we'll come back and do it together. Okay, so, excuse me. So we're going to do this together. Now I have duplicated these tabs because I need to take one tab off screen. This tab that, geez, sorry. This tab that I just took off screen. Actually, this is the tab I want to take off screen. This is the tab I can bring back on screen. Because I have sent a username and a password. I just made up a username and a password. And you have probably already done the same. And down at the bottom, you should have got the date, the time, and failed password for whatever username you put in from your IP address. Okay, that's what it put inside the log file. Okay. What we want to do is we have now been blocked. Our IP address has now been blocked, at least for 10 seconds. But even if we tried it again, we're going to get blocked again. So, how do we do it? Well, if you read up on log file injections, is actually a whole lot easier than you think. We can simply do this. /n. And let me explain, because it's a little weird, especially by not seeing log files. A log file is typically, let's say when we log in, it's typically going to post something like this. We send in a username and a password, and depending on the parser, it will come back with saying something like failed password, whatever the password is, for username, whatever the username is, from IP address. And then it will duplicate itself. One's out, one's in. Okay, this is what got returned to us. This is what got sent to the server. This is what got sent back from us. So inside the log file, it's duplicated. We only see one. We only see what comes to us, but the server gets this. Okay, well, when we do that /n, we still may have the same thing. It still may say something like, January 08, : again, we don't really know what the parser does, but we'll just see our IP address that comes into them, because we didn't put anything in, but there's going to be a line, a blank line, before it goes out. That blank line right there, between the in and the out, is what allows us in. And what makes that blank line? The /n. It tells the log file to skip a line. That confuses the parser and allows us in. Again, I don't think you're going to run across anything like this in real life. But a lot of these things on this site is not technically real life. It's just to see if you can think on how to manipulate something that you're not supposed to be able to get into. Okay. So let's take a look at the very last level. Alright, now, I will tell you, I have another account with these people because I've done some of this stuff before. And skipping around, I do remember this one. This one is one that is going to take a lot of research. Because we're told we have a username and a password field. And it does say the login screen is trying something a bit different and is not using SQL. Try and log in as the user whose real name is Sandra Murphy. Okay, so all we know is her real name. We don't know her username. We don't know her password. And they are not using SQL. So what are they using? Well, this is one we could view, we could go in and inspect the element, and take a look at the element. But everything kind of looks normal here. It's in a field. Input type user, type is text, name is user, autocomplete is off. There's the password. Type is password, the name is pass. So the name for the username is user, the name for password is pass, and then we have our submit button. But it's not being validated through SQL, which it typically is. Okay. So if we show the hints, it says this may be of some use. Well, if we go to that, you will see that they are talking about XML. All we're taking a look at here is XML data. Now, you're not going to get your answer from here. You just get to see how XML is written. What you need to take a look at is XML injections. More specifically, XPath injections. And we can write this XML injection in the username field. So if you search something like XML injection in username field, you're going to come up with a bunch of links. You're going to have to read a lot of them, because none of them are going to take you point blank to what you type in to do it, because it changes. But you will see on a couple of pages how to write the line for variables that you don't know and for variables that you do know. And there are a ton of ways to do them. So what I end up doing may be completely different from what you end up doing. So just look up XML injections in username fields. See what you find out. Try it. If it doesn't work, worst case is going to tell you you're wrong. And then try something else. And keep trying until that thing turns green on you. This one takes a little bit of trial and effort too, much like level 5 may. But when you get it, you'll get it. So I'll give you a minute to take a look at that, and I'll show you the way I did it. Again, mine's not the only way, and in fact, you can pull this off with third-party programs, Zap or probably even Burp Suite. But don't use them if you don't have to. If you can just inject it right into the line, then we just inject it right into the line. So I'll give you a second to do some research on that, and I'll show you how I passed it. Okay, so if you looked up, I'll do it inside here, XML injections in username fields. That's what happens when you spell username wrong. So there's a OWASP one, there's web app. They will give you some XML possible injections. This one shows you how to actually put in a username. This one shows you how to run an attack. So some pretty interesting ones inside of there. This is testing. Again, that's basically dropping in a couple of things. So these are writing much longer XML scripts. And they start getting a little bit more specific here, using certain type of tags and what it returns. And this is what takes a little bit of time, is to kind of scrolling through here and kind of understanding, you know, what you're reading, because again, one site isn't going to kind of give you everything. Again, this shows how to do a particular email injection. Let's see if I can think of the one page that I went to. There's an XPath injection. Again, we're not going to be writing this much code. But if you got into here where it says where such code is used, an attacker can inject XPath expressions, provide the following value as a username, single tick or 1 equals 1 or tick tick equals tick. You're right along the right lines. Now we're not going to get in with just that because we have to log in with a particular user. And that's Sandra Murphy. And they told us that was real name. So, the way I did it, because I've done SQL injections before, and XML injections are very, very similar to SQL injections. Again, there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it, but I basically just start out with blah. And I do that because I've been teaching CEH for so long, they always start out with blah. That's really the username. And you end it with a single tick. Or, and if you did some research on your XML injections, or your XPath injections, you probably saw real name / text. That was in that hint in quite a few places and on a couple other pages. Well, real name text equals Sandra Murphy. Now, to make sure, all we need is for this thing to return true. Or 1 equals 1. Now, see if that works. So we have really just a space holder for the username. And then we have the or real name / text equals Sandra Murphy, or 1 equals 1. It's taking the place of the password. And we can typically leave the password blank because this is going to be sent to it. Again, it's not going to be sent via SQL command. It's going to be sent via XML. What the parser should do is take the blah and put that as the username. We have then specified that the real name is Sandra Murphy. So that's the next line. Real name equals Sandra Murphy. And then the password is 1 equals 1. If any of that returns true, it's going to let us in. So if we typed it right, it should allow us in. And I think it's the way the 1 equals 1 is. Oh, crap. I should have typed it in. That's all right. Let me do the blah. Or real name / text open close equals single tick Sandra Murphy. Oops, single tick. Let me go back and change this to a single tick. Or, I know what I did. I did mine a little bit different. Single tick 1 single tick equals single tick 1. That's a typical SQL string. I wrote mine actually a little bit different because I actually put in username and all inside of mine, but I want to simplify it a little bit. Blah, or real name slash text equals Sandra Murphy, or 1 equals 1. There we go. It needed the double ticks. So I'm going to post out there what I put. And I'll show you all the different ways that it could technically work. So I did this. Now, again, this is where I forgot to put my single ticks in. The single ticks just separate it. This is the part that's returning true. Now, we could have easily have just done this, and a lot of times this is the way you start. And in the password field, we would have written this. Actually, we wouldn't even need this one here, because this accompanies this. So even that would have worked. You could even get longer by writing something like this. This tends to be a little bit more confusing with the ticks, making sure they're in the right spot. Because if they're not exactly where they're supposed to be, then it's not going to work. The variables aren't passing through the parser in the right spot. So that's what takes some playing around with. Again, the more you play with these type of injections, SQL injections, XML injections, XPath injections, you're going to get really good at learning things like, the whole blah single tick or tick 1 tick equals tick 1 space. And then sometimes it's tick 1 semicolon dash dash. It just depends on how the parser works, or how the database works. This is typically a SQL injection. So read up on those. This is probably one of the more difficult things to get a hold of. And a lot of times it's a lot of trial and error on where do we put the tick marks. What do we have to put in to get it to pass? Could we have kept this off? Could this have been kept off? And I don't know. It very well, you see up here we never even specified, well, we did specify username and password in separate fields. Up here we never truly specified password equals, because we just need it to return a true on anything and we'll get in. So again, it's a lot of trial and error when you get into injection. But that's half the fun of it. So, guys, we have finished, and ladies, we have finished all the mains, all the basics, all the intermediates. Our next ones, we're going to start running probably, I think we're going to do cryptography. So I will be back probably later tonight, and we may run through 1 or 2 cryptos and rack up some more points. Again, you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification, hit that thumbs up, let me know what you like. If there's anything you want me to post, let me know that. If there's something that you don't understand, I can definitely post in the links or in the description links to pages to help you out, especially when it comes into XML, XPath, and sequels. Alright, until next time, my friends, I will see you later. This is Malik.